Welcome to A Word with the Girls. I'm Molly, and I'm joined here with my sisters Abby and Emily. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at A Word with the Girls. And if you haven't yet subscribed to our podcast on Spotify, you can do that and click that follow button so you don't miss an episode. You can also find us on YouTube. We would also love to hear from you. So if you've got a question or a word suggestion, make sure that you comment on Spotify or on YouTube or on Instagram, and your word might be featured in a future episode. So before we dive into our word for today, let's catch up a little bit. How's everybody doing?
Doing good. Yeah. This last week or so was fun. We had sweet friends from Colorado Springs come stay with us. And that was just so special. They're some of our favorite people, and they have kiddos too. And so we got to do the pumpkin patch, and we went to Arches. So that was just so fun. Just good conversation, good living life together. It was two families under one roof, and it was just crazy, but so fun. And then today we dedicated Annie at our church, and that was so special too. So yeah, it's been great.
What does it mean to dedicate a kid at church?
So that's like, Alex and I have been blessed with these kids. And as believers of Jesus, we know that he's given us these kids to raise up and love them well. And it's just us showing the community that we're surrounded with at church that we love our kids, and we're going to raise them up in our best ability by believing in Jesus, believing that he's equipping us, and just showing them love and grace and mercy, all the things that Jesus has showed Alex and I. And so by going up in front of your church, it's just like a declaration of this is what we feel called to do. We feel called to show our kids that we love Jesus, and they're going to be raised in a home that loves Jesus. And we're asking you as the community to hold us accountable and to walk alongside us. So
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask in case there were people who were listening who was like, what does that mean?
Totally. No, It definitely sounds like, geez, that's what you do. What?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's special.
It's really cool.
It's a special thing. So little Annie Joy was dedicated today.
And she was so cute.
Mm-hmm.
I really,
little doll.
She might be, she might be a future, I don't know, performer or something. She just worked that crowd really well this morning.
Yeah, we got right up on stage, and she's not waving yet, but she waved to everybody. She smiled. Aww. And when Pastor Tim was talking, she looked right at him, and she ate it up. And the other two were so great too, but Annie's just a little, she just seemed to thrive in front of people, which the rest of us do not. So yeah.
That's so special. Well, it was so funny because today at church we had baptisms, which is kind of like that next step. That is a public profession of your faith, like when you choose to get baptized. And so there are a couple of kids from our
that's cool,
our kid ministry who were just so excited. And it was so cool because it was like a football game. Like there was so much cheering and excitement, and I don't know, it kind of got me teared up because it just shows obviously these parents have dedicated their lives to raising these children to hopefully know Jesus and choose to follow Jesus. And so that was really, really special to see. So it was kind of cool that it was happening the same day Annie was getting dedicated.
That is cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. Speaking of friends, it's been an interesting season for me. I've been in Grand Junction for a little over a year now, and still just trying to find community and friends. And it's possible I've said this on a previous podcast, but that's just the nature of the situation. It takes a long time. And but I've been blessed to have a couple weekends in the last few weeks of getting to know new people and just being invited into friendship with people. So I've just been saying yes to invitations and being brave and just getting to connect with just some really cool women who I can relate to on a number of different levels. And so it's just really cool to see community kind of come together slowly but surely. And it's hard because it's a slow process, especially at this age. Um, and especially as a single person without kids, like that natural connecting piece. So it just feels like it takes a little bit more work, but I'm trying, being brave.
It's
But
great.
it's just fun to see some progress in that area. So yeah,
It makes me so happy. Yeah, we're like, we just aren't supposed to do life alone, and
Mhm.
finding that community. It's you've always been able to do it though. I mean, sometimes I like to think if we like look back in our past, it's possible because it's happened before and you've done it before, and internationally and national, here in the US. So
Mhm.
I'm just happy to see that come to fruition for you.
No, for sure. For sure. It's definitely, I have to remind myself of that all the time. I always end up, in friendship with people who are like exceptional. So
Mhm.
I just have to trust that that's possible here too.
Yep,
So
you really find good ones.
mhm.
How about you, Em?
Well, the theme continues. We just got done having some guests to our house. It was actually the first time we had guests in our home since we moved here, and we're coming up on a 1-year anniversary of living here in Illinois, and we're finally having guests in our house. So that was really fun to have some special friends come and stay with us, and just kind of get to be tour guide and go to all the fun touristy places. We went to this epic place called the City Museum, and
Oh, I've
it's
heard of
like,
that. Yeah.
it is the coolest thing. It was like this engineer was given free reign of whatever's in your mind, like make it happen. And it's just like this huge warehouse, and outside are like these crazy, it's like I don't know, an adult playground jungle gym. And it's all these things from St. Louis, like planes, like old planes from St. Louis, or pipes or train wheels. And anyways, they've created this like whole jungle gym, and you just like climb everywhere. And there's like, when you go inside, you see like a hole with a ladder. And so then you go up that and it takes you to another place. It's like this never ending hamster cage. So that was like really, really fun. Sometimes they'll have like adult nights too, because it's really for kids. But poor Kevin, he has not been exposed to as many germs as I have, and my friend who has a 5-year-old. And so he ended up getting really sick. And so he was like out of commission for, I don't know, like all last week with some nasty cold that I somehow didn't get.
Whoa.
So who knows if it was having a 5-year-old in our house or being at this, germ infested city museum. I'm not sure, but it was really fun. And it was just like really, really special to make new memories with these friends of ours. So,
That's awesome.
yeah, yay for friends.
Yeah.
Or family. That's what I call it. Like friends who are like
Seriously,
I like
family.
that.
Yes.
So
That's exactly what
For
it
sure.
is.
All right. Abby, I believe you are the one who gets to choose a number.
Dos.
Okay. 2. Oh, that's a good one. The word is road trip. Road trip. Wow, there's a lot of directions this could go. I personally love road trips so much. It's probably my favorite way to travel, at least in the US. I haven't really done it overseas before, but yeah, it's my favorite way to travel.
well, and I feel like Abby, you mentioned something about Molly and that she like always has a song in the car. Like,
Yep.
do you have a playlist or something that you listen to, Molly? Or like, what's your cadence when you're driving far places? Like, are you listening to podcasts or audiobooks or music or calling people?
I'm definitely not calling people. No, road trips are for me to be by myself. Mostly because I only ever really do road trips by myself. But I don't know. Usually I'll like make a special playlist for each road trip based on, whatever's going on. But I also usually am listening to either like podcast series or an audiobook. Yeah, I think the most recent road trip I was on, I drove from Colorado up to the Pacific Northwest to visit friends over the summer. And I was listening to like a fiction book that was like a crime, about a crime or murder or something like that, which is usually what I'm listening to if I'm listening to podcasts as well. I really love the true crime stuff.
I was just going to ask, do you prefer solo road trips, or have you gone on a lot of road trips with like a friend?
Not really. Honestly, most of my road tripping has been done by myself, and it's always a pretty epic distance. So one of the first ones that I did was the summer after I moved back to the States from Indonesia. I had just finished up 4 years. You guys were both getting married in the same summer. And I also had like 2 or 3 other weddings I was going to that year. So I moved back to the States. There was like a week or so where we like did a bunch of planning and prep for your wedding. I think I like literally got off the plane and we went to Nordstrom's and did like a makeup tutorial thing
How fun.
at Bobby Brown. And I just remember thinking, wow, this is like such culture shock. But like a week or 2 later, I got in a car and drove from Flagstaff all the way to Tennessee. And then I drove back for a wedding there. And then I drove back through Nebraska and saw a bunch of family there, and then ended up in Albuquerque for your wedding. So,
Right, where I think you met Kevin for the first time.
yes.
I think we all did, right?
Yeah.
Mom and Dad had met him.
Yeah. That road trip actually was kind of before podcasts were a thing. And I think I listened to the Adele 21 album the entire way, just on repeat.
That's fun. That's a good one.
So,
Wow.
there you go. What do you guys think about when you hear the word road trip?
Yeah, road tripping feels like a little overwhelming, I guess. Having kids, having to go potty and keep them busy, and now a baby. Road tripping isn't quite what it was. I'm sure we'll get there again in a few years. I think it's adding a baby in has made it like, okay, we're back on, we can't go that far in the car right now. But Alex and I did a really good road trip from Arizona down to Florida when he was a traveling PT, and it was so fun. That was pre-kids. And it was just great. Yeah, we listened to podcasts as well, and you have specific road trip food. And Alex loves to stop at the gas station and get like the gross hot dogs that are on those spinny things. That's like his favorite thing. At least it was back then. Maybe not now. But you just like the yucky road trip food that is dedicated for those adventures. And yeah, I just remember that time was so fun. Good conversation, and yeah, cool sights. You get to choose destinations along the way. I remember on that trip we made our way to the Duck Dynasty. Is that what it was called?
Oh yeah.
Remember back then? Yeah, when they were
Oh,
super
boy.
popular. So I remember on our way to Florida, we stopped there. So anyway, that was really the last pretty big road trip that Alex and I took. And since then, yeah, having kids, it's like, okay, I think about our max is about 4 hours. Where can we get in 4 hours? Just because it's not really fun for kiddos to be strapped in, and we don't do a whole lot of screen time. And I'm sure if we let them watch a couple movies, it would be a little more doable, which maybe eventually we will need to do. But yeah, so I would love more road trips in my life right now. But
Yeah, kids really have it a lot easier today than we did, for sure.
Oh my gosh, do you remember we'd have like a whole contraption of like this tiny little TV with a VCR, like somehow finagled in between mom and dad's seats, and then
Yes,
I think we'd
And
watch
we'd
the
have
same
to
movie
all
over and over again.
sit
next
on the
to each other.
same bench seat.
Well, and it wasn't a tiny TV. It was one of those really thick TVs.
Right. It was like the 13-inch with the built-in VCR.
Yeah, it was like huge. And if it
Mhm.
fell over, it would like break your foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh.
And I can remember too, we got to lay down. Didn't we lay down in the back?
Oh, maybe. Or there was one year where like they took out the middle seat. And so then we had like all that space between
Oh,
like
that's what it
between
was.
us and like mom and dad.
So smart. That's what it was. We weren't laying
Mhm.
down. It just allowed us to have
Well, we don't
leg
want to
room.
like incriminate mom and dad.
It's true.
Oh, man. But yeah, I think also didn't we pay for that television ourselves by earning money with the lemonade stand?
Oh, I don't
In
remember.
my memory, that's what I remember is that we had that lemonade stand and we earned enough money. I don't know, probably like $150 or something, probably not. And we were able to
Money.
purchase that television.
Whoa. I don't really remember.
I mean, that sounds on par. Mom and dad are always like, you want something, you have to like earn it and
Right.
pay for it yourself. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I do remember that television making things a little bit better. But yeah,
Yeah.
these days everybody's got it so much easier. Like all the kids can have Bluetooth headphones and watch a movie. The parents can listen to their own thing. Like,
I love road trips. I mean, growing up, I always like wanted to sleep and mom was always like, open your eyes, you're missing everything, you know? But like I'd get in the car and I'd fall asleep. Like it just kind of puts me asleep. I think it's because when I was a baby, that was the only way they can make me go to bed if they like drove me around in the car to put me to sleep. So now that we live here in Illinois, like right outside of St. Louis, it reminds me of the road trip we took. It was like a Tom Sawyer Huckleberry Finn themed road trip because
Yes.
Molly was planning on going to school in Missouri. And so we drove from Arizona all the way to Missouri so Molly could see the school. But then we also listened to Tom
Mark Twain.
Sawyer, Mark Twain. So then we went to
Mhm.
Hannibal, Missouri, and it was quite the adventurous trip. We went to Seascape Resort, which ended up being a total dive. We got caught in like the wrong part of town. You know, just like a lot of things that happened on that road trip. And so it feels really nostalgic when I'm going into St. Louis. Like every time I go, it just kind of makes me remember that trip. So that's kind of sweet. But Kevin and I have actually gone on a lot of road trips together. And it's really sweet to like be able to find like a partner to do life with and to travel really well together. Like we are a really good team. And so before we left the East Coast, Kevin needed to get his 50th state, New Hampshire. And so we did like this epic road trip. I don't remember what all the distances were, but like we went to like New York and New Hampshire and Vermont and Maine and like all these fun places. And that was super fun. And then when we went to visit Hawaii, the Big Island, if you ever plan on going to the Big Island, it's cool because you have like every kind of scenery from snowy mountains to rainforest to beaches to volcanoes, but you
That's
are in the
crazy.
car all the time.
Oh.
Like you will be in the car most of the time because it's just pretty far to drive everywhere. So I think we drove like well over 800 miles in like a week or something. I don't know.
Oh my
It was crazy.
gosh. Wow.
But yeah, so it's always been really sweet. And then when we've road tripped, when we've like moved because of the military, we're either on like walkie talkies or calling each other
Oh, nice.
because we're usually in separate cars. So yeah, so being in the car, I'm kind of used to. It's kind of fun. And it's funny because I actually call people. I'm like, sweet, I have like hours to talk to friends or catch up with people. So that's how we're very different.
That's the difference between Emily and I. Oh, that's funny.
I can remember I took a road trip by myself from Lone Tree Bible Ranch, which is like a camp I worked at when I was 18, back home, which wasn't very far. It was maybe, I really don't remember, 8 or 10 hours. But I did it by myself in my Jeep Wrangler, and it was awesome. And I just remember just like having the brain space to think, and you can talk to yourself out loud. I remember going through just like a wave of emotions from the music I was listening to would make me feel a certain way. So I'd either like pray or worship or cry. And, you know, it just gives you such a time and a space to just debrief with what you're driving away from and what you're driving towards. And I just remember I loved that. That was probably one of the only longer distance road trips I've ever done by myself, and being 18, and it felt really cool, and it felt really free.
I forget that our experiences are really different. I think Molly and I are kind of like more used to doing a lot more like solo traveling. Like that's kind of like more of our norm. And so it is hard. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around like, oh yeah, you've only done that a few times in your life. Yeah. Where I'm like, oh, I have to be by myself for 9 hours. What am I going to do? You know, that sounds torturous personally. But okay. So Abby, you were talking about road trip snacks. When you walk in to a gas station, what do you get?
I love Starburst, Chex Mix, vitamin water, puppy chow. I think those would be my top ones.
What about you, Mal?
I like Cheez-Its, pretzels, sour gummy worms. I use those to stay awake when I'm starting to fall asleep. What else? Or like Sour Patch Kids. And then I always try and throw like something somewhat healthy in there, like carrots or apples or something. But it's hard because like Cheetos are my favorite snack, but like you don't want to get your hands all gross.
Totally.
Because that's really annoying on a road trip.
What about you, Em?
Yeah, kind of have to like the combo of like, I need something chewy, kind of like with you, Mal, like something to kind of like keep me engaged. I'm trying to think. Maybe it'd be like, yeah, Starburst or Skittles. Yeah, something sweet and chewy, something salty like Cheez-Its or pretzels, same. I mean, I try to do healthy snacks, like, yeah, like packing carrots and fruit, but I always want like a fun coffee drink or, you know, some sort of an energy drink.
Coffee.
But there is something about like going into a gas station and just like having this like plethora of things to choose from. And I kind of always go to the same things. I think Kevin likes eating sunflower seeds, but they're so messy. And then my tongue gets all like destroyed. So, but yeah, the snacks are definitely the thing. Although I always think of Dad. Dr.
Me too.
Pepper
I was
and
just gonna
Snickers.
say, yeah. So one of the earliest, one of my early memories of a road trip was when Dad took me to his military institute reunion. I think I was like maybe 10. And it was just him and I just remember like we got Lunchables and Dr. Pepper and Snickers. And I just remember it being like such a special, like special time. That could have been like the thing that instilled a love of road trips, maybe. But yeah, I remember those snacks so vividly and just feeling so lucky to be getting Dr. Pepper and Snickers.
And Lunchables, man.
Lunchables.
Whoa.
That's like next level. In fact, that is what I like to, because I don't really like to stop for fast food or anything. But I will bring like the adult Lunchables, you know, the ones that just have like the meat and cheese and crackers in it. So
that's
funny.
Yeah.
Yep. Dr. Pepper and Snickers always makes me think of Dad.
Yes, 100%.
Well, I'm actually going on a road trip at the beginning of November. I'm going up to Chicago. I'm speaking at this women's event. And it's about a 5-hour road trip. So I'm already kind of like planning, and I'll be by myself. So I think I've got a couple audiobooks that I haven't been able to listen to. Like I haven't had enough time to like, because you kind of have to like get into an audiobook. You can't just listen to like 5 minutes here and there. So yeah, well, technically I guess it's like 10 hours round trip, 5
which is better because then you can listen to a whole audiobook most likely. That's the like if I can't listen to the whole thing on a road trip, it's not happening. I just yeah.
So what distance constitutes a road trip? Like, is there like a certain like mileage or hours? You know what I mean?
Okay, here's what's really crazy, and I don't know if y'all think this way too. Anytime something is like 123 miles or maybe 2 hours, I always have in my mind,
yes,
Phoenix.
Totally. I do the same thing. Yes, 100%. I'm like, okay, I remember how it feels to go from Flag down to Phoenix. It's not that far.
Right.
That's funny.
Yeah. Or like 300 miles is to Albuquerque. Like these distances will forever be like ingrained in my mind. And that's how I like mentally prepare.
So funny. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
How funny.
So
yeah, I'd say like for my stage of life right now, I think a road trip's like, 3 or 4 hours. Just anywhere long enough that's like, you're staying overnight somewhere.
Mhm.
You've packed a suitcase.
Mhm.
Yeah. At the end of November, we're going on our annual Polar Express train ride with the kids, and that's in Durango, it's about 3.5 hours. So I'd say that's a road trip. It goes pretty
Definitely.
quick though, but
Yeah, I'd say anything like over 300 miles would count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when we were driving from DC to Illinois, when we were moving here, Kevin and I were in separate cars, and I had gotten like everybody had been talking about Colleen Hoover. And so I got this book called November 9. And we got to our house, and this was like the first time I was like seeing it. It was ours. And I like sat in the driveway to finish the book because I had like 5 minutes left. And I was like, I have to find out what happens. I know we're here, but like, it was just really funny. Like I had to finish it. I had to find out what happened.
Yeah, road trips are fun.
I don't think we've ever done a road trip, just the three of us.
No.
Mm-mm.
I am getting ready to do one with just mom and dad to come and see you for Thanksgiving. So that should be interesting.
Yeah. No, I'm
Really.
super excited. I think it'll be nice that you've got like you'll see family in
Mhm.
Nebraska and stuff too. And
Yeah.
because how long is that? It's got to be at least like 15 hours.
I think it's only like 12.
Okay. Because I
But
think
I
Kevin
don't
had said it was like 12 hours from Denver. Because he used to make this
Oh.
drive all the time because his family lives here in Alton.
Well, that's brutal then.
But yeah, I'm
But
super pumped.
I feel like it's a game changer when you have more than one driver available.
True.
That's
Because for
true.
me, I'm like, I can only like 9 hours is pretty much my limit.
Max.
I can't really
Mhm.
do more than that.
I was going to say, speaking of multiple drivers, I feel like I can remember when we were on a family road trip. I can't really remember where we were going, but we were in the green Astro van. And I think mom and dad let you take a leg. And I was like, we're going to die. Like, this is so scary. Why would you let
My gosh.
one of us drive as like a teenager?
Oh, I don't remember that at all.
I don't
It
know.
probably would have been on that Missouri trip though,
You think so?
if at all.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
That's funny.
it is nice having like multiple drivers, but yeah, I feel like dad did most of the driving usually,
Mhm.
especially on the scary roads when we were in Colorado and they were like cliffs and
Right.
dad was always the one driving.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, road trips. Always a good time. Whether
Yep.
they're therapeutic solo time or correspondence with all your people.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for joining us on A Word with the Girls, a podcast where one word sparks conversation. And we definitely believe in the power of connection and stories. So now it's your turn. Take our word, road trip, to your people and see where this conversation takes you, and let us know how it goes in the comments on Instagram or here on Spotify. We'd love to hear about your favorite road trip or a road trip that's coming up. Let us know. But until then, we'll talk to you again soon.
Love you more. Bye.
Make sure to subscribe so that you can follow along each week as A Word with the Girls drops new episodes every Wednesday.